Hello children. Nowadays we were listening to the stories of Vikram and Betaal. I hope you have enjoyed the stories. Now today we are going to listen the last story from this book. The name of the story is King Bhoja finds Vikramaditya's throne. After many such attempts, it was Betaal who was forced to give up and go to the Tantric with Vikramaditya. The story of King Vikramaditya and Betaal went down in history as one of the greatest examples of patience, determination and wisdom. Many years later, a king called Bhoja, who ruled over the great city of Ujjaini, was told about this great king. However, what was interesting was how he found out about King Vikramaditya. Many years after King Vikramaditya's rule, the great King Bhoja, who ruled the city of Ujjaini, went hunting in the forest around his city with some of his men. The wild animals from the forest were disturbing the peace of some villagers nearby. So the king decided to kill the animals and restore the peace. They had spent all day in the forest chasing the animals. When it was midday and the sun began to shine mightily above them, they decided to rest for a while. They began looking for a spot to rest. After searching for a long time, they came across a large field. The corn that grew in that field looked delicious. The king was impressed. He began to look for the owner. They spotted him sitting in the center of the field on a mound of earth. When they approached him, he stood up and bowed. "I have honored that you have graced my fields with your presence, Your Majesty. I am Saravana Bhatt and I own these fields. Please feel free to rest and feast on the corn." The king and his men were delighted. They set up camp in the field and began to feast on the sweet, juicy corn. When Saravana Bhatt got down from the mound and saw that the king and his men were feasting on his crops, he grew furious. He went to the king and said, "Your Majesty, I am a poor man. This corn is my livelihood. If you and your men eat my crop, how will I feed my family?" The king offered Saravana Bhatt some money in return for his favor. The farmer thanked the king and went back to his mound. Strangely, when the farmer sat on the mound again, he said, "Your Majesty, you rule over these lands. These are more your fields than mine, and these are your crops. I am disappointed that you should pay me for what belongs to you only. I refuse to take this money." And he returned the money back to the king. The king was confused now. He realized there was something wrong with the mound. He offered to buy the field from Saravana Bhatt. After having paid a huge price, he offered the mound to be dug. To everyone's astonishment, the men discovered a large golden throne buried in the mound. It was a beautiful peacock throne. It was made of solid gold and was studded with precious stone and 32 strange-looking dolls. The king fell in love with the throne at once. He wished it to be carried back to the palace. But they could not move the throne. The king ordered for more men. But the throne seemed to be magical. It got heavier and heavier, making it impossible to be moved. Then one wise advisor suggested, "Your Majesty, this throne seemed to have belonged to a great king. We must worship the throne before trying to move it." The king agreed, and a team of Brahmins were called, who performed a ritual around the throne. It helped, and the throne finally moved. They brought the throne to the palace, and on an auspicious day, the king, having finished his morning duties, decided to sit on the throne. However, no sooner had he stepped on the pedestal, one of the dolls started laughing very loudly and said, "Wait, O king, do you think you have got what it takes to sit on this throne?" The king was taken by surprise. He said, "Pardon me, I don't understand." The doll told more. This throne had belonged to the great King Vikramaditya. It takes only greatness like his to sit on this throne. Do you think your wisdom and justice matches that of great King Vikramaditya? Tell me, how great was King Vikramaditya? I want to know more about him, Bhoja demanded. The doll laughed. "I will tell you a story, and you shall judge for yourself how great King Vikramaditya was." And then the doll began to tell a story about King Vikramaditya's greatness. King Bhoja sat wide-eyed as he heard the story. He realized his wisdom and justice were no match for Vikramaditya's. King Vikramaditya was indeed a great king. Children, we all also know about Vikramaditya's greatness through all the stories we have heard till now, isn't it? So, let us stop this storybook now, and from here onwards, tomorrow onwards, we are going to listen to something different through videos only. So, this was the last story from the book